Today we're going to talk about Omen, which is a modular light bar designed for the top of a fire truck. Everything starts with this extruded subframe, which is two 90-degree angled extrusions that are then attached together using this mounting foot and top plate system. These things can be adjusted. The mounting feet slide in any location along the track, and you can have a variety of lengths because every component is based on either a 12-inch light module or a 6-inch wide, but 6 inches this way, 12 inches this way, side module. When you have these bars, two side modules and a 12-inch module make up a 24-inch warning light bar, and they can go up to as wide as 96 inches wide. In front of me, you'll see this is a 24-inch mini bar, and this is an 84-inch full-size light bar for the top of a fire truck. 72 inches seems to be the most popular size used on fire apparatus in North America, and this is how they lay out. Each module has all 5 colors, red, green, blue, amber, and white. In the middle row and the upper rows are red, high-output, traffic-clearing, high-intensity warning modules. That is FireTech Omen. When it comes to mounting Omen on your fire apparatus, there are a couple of pretty cool features. These mounting feet attach to the truck, but they're mounted along this linear extruded subframe. If you just loosen these 8 bolts, you can slide the feet in any location, and then you can line them up with existing holes in the fire apparatus cab. What you can also do is if you have a specific bracket you would prefer to use, this foot can come off and you can attach your own bracket using this mounting system to any section of the cab or any portion of the truck that you want. The other cool thing is that in addition to mounting the light bar to the cab, you can mount other stuff to the light bar using this extruded track system, and lets you have a great place for things like Go lights or Opticoms or digital alerting transceivers like a Haas HA5 or HA7 that can all attach right to the subframe on the Omen light bar. Every Omen light bar has 2 side modules and a variety of 12-inch modules in the middle. The side modules have the red top and bottom circuits, and then the red, green, blue, amber, and white center row that can be used as a secondary warning light or traffic directors or water level indicators or command on demand, that sort of thing. The master control in and out of these side modules occurs using these 4 sets of wires. The top set is your battery switch, power, and ground. These just get fused and hooked to the battery switch power on the truck. The other 3, these are going to be your communication and input wires. The input wires are these 4 wires here. You need to give it E-master, which can be power or ground switched. Parking brake, again, power or ground switched. And the other 2 are user programmable inputs where you can set up things like if you wanted a pump engaged or a traffic director or a variety of functions that could occur on the fixture. This set of 3 wires, this is the CAN communication cable. The left and right side modules get attached to each other, and then a backbone is run to the back of the truck where your left and right body nodes are connected. When you have all 4 nodes in the system, this is how the whole system communicates with each other. The side modules are where your day-night sensors are, and so day and night is communicated to all of the fixtures that are on the network over the CAN infrastructure. This is your single wire LIN protocol. This gangs together all of the HVC warning lights on the side of the cab and body and each of the 4 subzones on the fixture. They get attached to the right side of the light bar to the right cab light fixtures, the left side of the light bar to the left cab fixtures. And at the back of the truck, if you're using these as stanchion mounted little mini beacons, they can be your zone routers, or you can use something called a zone control module, which also routes CAN to LIN and then allows you to run each of the body left and right zones as well. The FireTech Omen light bar and HVC Guardian warning lights are part of a system called HiViz Connect. And HiViz Connect is the communication protocol where all of our fixtures talk to each other, as well as the software app and the ecosystem of smart technologies inside the FireTech brand. The HiViz Connect product family are all of our smart products, and we'll be adding more products each year that use the same communication protocol that we work with various truck manufacturers and application manufacturers to integrate technologies into. HiViz Connect can be licensed if you're a device manufacturer and you want to communicate with products in our ecosystem, but it's also something that we use to communicate all the intensities and flash patterns and sequence levels to all smart FireTech products. What sizes are the FireTech Omen available in? Well, the Omen starts with these 2 side modules. These are 6 inches wide, and every light bar has to have at least a left and a right side. From there, you add these 12-inch modules in the middle. And so the smallest size light bar we build is a 6-inch side module, another 6-inch side module, and a 12-inch light module for a total of 24 inches. From there, you can add these 12-inch modules in obviously 12-inch increments all the way up to 96 inches wide. For every size, there's only one part number. It's a 24-inch bar, a 36-inch bar, a 48-inch bar, and so on. But they always have every color, and the housing is always black. The only caveat here is that if you're using a 4-sided light bar, typically on a fire truck, especially when they have a stepped cab, the light bar is only 2 sides in the front. If you want a 4-sided light bar, if you're building like a command vehicle or something like that, you can add the 4th side to the light bar. And what's interesting is because this fixture is a distributed ecosystem, it's only a very small incremental cost to add the individual light modules on the back of the bar. but effectively it's a single part number for every size. It's 12-inch increments from 24 inches all the way up to 96 inches. What lens colors are available on the FireTech Omen? Well, the Omen has 5 colors in this middle row: red, green, blue, amber, and white. And so you can't actually build a light bar with a lens color other than clear if you want to be able to have multiple colors behind the lenses. And so for the FireTech Omen, the housing is always black, the lens is always clear, and you always have access to all 5 colors: red, green, blue, amber, and white. What LED colors are available in the FireTech Omen and HVC Guardian series of products? Well, the Omen has all 5 colors: red, green, blue, amber, and white in the center row. That's our secondary optics. And the primary optics are designed for traffic clearing. Those are always in red. Now what you can do is you can attach a FireTech brow light to the bottom of this light bar. And so if you want red and white brow responding, you can flash the brow light, you can flash the red. That's your primary responding. When you get on scene, the brow light cuts off or becomes a scene light. Then you go to all red, and you can have your secondary colors if you want red, blue, or that sort of thing in the light bar. On the side-mounted fixtures, like our Guardian's surface-mounted fixtures, the Guardian HVC series, you can do those in single or dual colors. Typically what we recommend is do like, say, a red and a blue or a red and a green on the body, and then use your scene light as your auxiliary white flashing instead of doing like a red-white, because in the HVC system, when you say, I want to flash red-white, you can use your scene light like the white circuit and alternate it with your warning light. If you just want to have a single color, fine, do red all the way around and you'll be just happy. But if you want to have a dual color fixture, the way we recommend doing things, like if you wanted the feature command on demand, you would do red and green fixtures all around the top, red fixtures all around the bottom, and when you hit command on demand, the whole top of the truck turns green, the rest of the truck stays flashing red. What housing colors are the FireTech Omen available in? Well, I took the old adage from Henry Ford: you can have any color you want as long as it's black. But I actually mean that a little bit differently than he did, because you can actually command any color you want from the 5 color red, green, blue, amber, and white LED circuits, but the housing is always black. This lets us keep a lot of inventory in stock, so that if you ever have a problem, you can always grab a module off the shelf, plug it into your fixture, and maintain NFPA compliance and operation in any environment. Do the HVC lights offer a vehicle-to-vehicle sync? The answer to that question is yes. Part of the whole functionality of this system is that it's hardware now, software over and over again. All of the hardware required to do vehicle-to-vehicle sync is on board the light fixtures today. And as we're rolling out the product portfolio, we're enabling features like V2V Sync as the products get updated. You'll be able to do the update over your software app on your phone or through a field support tool, but all of the hardware is ready to do that, and it's already live in our beta tests. Do your lights offer night mode? The answer to that question is absolutely. We have 4 response modes: responding day, responding night, on-scene day, and on-scene night. And the way we trigger those is we have an eMaster input and a park brake input. That tells us whether we're responding or we're on scene. And then we have night sensors in both the left and right side modules of our Omen warning light bar. So what that lets us do is calculate basically how much light is hitting each side of the light bar, and then average that to come up with a more realistic and accurate prediction as to whether or not it's actually daytime or nighttime. We're also able to capture GPS data, which can tell us what time of day it is. And so we can know if it's broad daylight and our sensors are changing a little bit, but it's not noticing that it's dark, our system can decide whether it's actually daytime, actually nighttime, and if we need to adjust our intensities. The Omen HVC lighting system is the smartest lighting system on the market. Every fixture has its own microcontroller, and every fixture can make independent decisions about what intensity it should be operating at based on the input data that the fixtures are receiving. Can I put this on my POV? Well, the answer is technically you probably could, although the system is designed for full-size emergency vehicles and fire apparatus. When you think about the full-size, like a 48-inch Omen light bar weighs about 50 pounds, it's pretty heavy. And so unless you've got a really big POV, it's not really designed for that environment. It's also pretty expensive. This is designed to last 25 years in the most extreme conditions that you might put on a fire apparatus, with heavy suspensions and tanks full of water where the truck is vibrating and bouncing down the road. In a POV market, there are less expensive ways to do a similar job that are probably better suited for your application. Although, to answer your question, technically, sure, you can make it happen. We're building a command vehicle. Can we integrate this thing today? Well, the answer is probably. It depends on if your command vehicle is like a Ford Explorer or if it's like a full-size command post. If it's a command post, absolutely. This thing is designed for integration on full-size fire apparatus and emergency vehicles. You can place an order. We're a few weeks out on shipping, but of course, you can place an order today. If it's a smaller Chiefs buggy or that sort of thing, to be totally honest, there are probably better suited products for that application. We'd be glad to recommend some great manufacturers in the space, but ultimately this thing is really heavy, it's really expensive, it's designed to last 25 years, and typically a Chiefs buggy is only really in service for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, 10 years at the most. So for this type of technology, it may not be the right application for a small vehicle, but for a large truck, absolutely, give us a call. How many flash patterns do your warning lights have? That's actually a really good question, and it's not a straightforward answer. The HVC lighting system and the FireTech Omen are very different than traditional light fixtures on the market. When you think about flash patterns are typically things like on, off, on, off, on, off, or on. I mean, there's literally patterns you can equate to drum beats or music signatures. So flash patterns then have things called time signatures. So is different than, it's faster, but the pattern is effectively the same. And so as you're laying out flash patterns, the way we approach this is we say, we want to know what the pattern is. That's the actual waveform, single flash, double flash, triple flash, SSL, short, short, long. And we then group that with a time. So how fast is it? Short, short, long is slower than short, short, long. So we then group that. And then we also group the mode. So that's whether or not we have alternating or synchronized together. Then the third thing we group is the intensity. And so how many flash patterns? Well, it depends on if it's high intensity, low intensity. It depends on which pattern it is, and it depends on the speed. You can create a virtually unlimited grouping of patterns, especially when we begin to build these things out into a light bar, which might have something like 6 modules across the front of it. You could be doing single flash, double flash, triple flash, and then a ramping pattern or something like that. All of the flash pattern design software is a part of the HVC protocol, and it's something that we're going to be rolling out update after update after update to give you the ultimate flexibility to configure the system how you want. When the system's shipped by default, they have 4 modes: responding day, responding night, on-scene day, and on-scene night. We've pre-chosen those 4 groupings in flash pattern colors so that then when you send these things down the road, they operate at a baseline level of efficiency, and then you can go in and make adjustments to things like speed, pattern, intensity, and synchronization. What is Hyvis Connect and why do I need it? Hyvis Connect is the protocol that all of our light fixtures operate on, as well as the embedded firmware that the fixtures run and the software app that controls it. Why do you need it? Well, I don't like getting run over on the side of the road when I'm working on the side of the road, and advanced lighting systems do more than just flash lights. They do things like enable digital communication with other motorists and oncoming vehicles. They do things like enable softer patterns or night modes, which sometimes can be helpful in reducing confusion or reducing intensity around fire scenes. There's a lot of things a smart lighting system can do to help you work more safely and effectively after dark. And candidly, I want every arrow of my quiver ready to shoot at, whatever comes at me, especially when I'm working on the side of the road. The HVC lighting system, I'm not gonna say it's always gonna stop every fire truck from getting run into while you're working, but adding these sorts of smart technologies can help mitigate the risk, and ultimately risk mitigation and helping first responders get home is the mission that we have here at Hyvis. What industry certifications does the Omen meet? Well, the Omen is designed to be an NFPA 1900 compliant light fixture, but the fire truck is actually what's certified as compliant, not the individual light heads. And so it has to be used in a system. For upper zone A, it has to meet the photometry requirements, but those photometry requirements are based on an amalgamation of all the fixtures in those zones facing in certain areas. So we do SAE J595, SAE J845. Those 2 are then used to create an NFPA 1900 compliant system, which is based on the old NFPA 1901 system, just with some updated data. The system is designed to be used in an NFPA compliant way on any fire apparatus, but you still have to configure it so that you have the right number of light heads in the right area on the vehicle to meet the NFPA or other photometric requirements for whichever standard you're working from. There's CASH GBS, there's 1917 for ambulance, there's a variety of different standards that we work to, but all of the fixtures are based on the core SAE J595 or J845 standards, which talk about photometry. All that data is available. If you have specific needs for your truck or your build, reach out, we can build a config sheet that'll give you all the data you need. We get asked all the time about whether lights can be used on a fire truck from a variety of lighting manufacturers. And during the last NFPA technical revision process, this was discussed at the tech committee level and the electrical task group level ad nauseum. One of the questions that came up from, I can't remember who it was, hey, I get pushback from fire truck manufacturers when customers request one brand in one zone and one brand in another zone, or 2 lights in an area. The interesting thing about NFPA compliance is that it's a minimum standard. And so with an Omen, a single 24-inch bar is compliant for almost any location you put it. And so if you want to have mixed lighting manufacturers, as long as you meet the minimum photometry requirements, you can certainly mix manufacturers, and we can prove compliance using just the numbers that we contribute to the overall system. By adding another light manufacturer's product, it doesn't remove compliance from one fixture or another. What gets tricky is if you choose a subset of fixtures that aren't quite compliant, maybe they don't have enough power individually, and then you add another set of fixtures from another manufacturer that also maybe aren't compliant, and you can't then certify that zone because you don't have the raw data published. One way we can combat this is we're glad to publish and provide our raw NFPA compliance data, the results of the SAE J595 test. Most manufacturers aren't willing to provide that. But then you could use that data to then calculate whether or not a combined system is compliant. What happens though is the truck manufacturers basically rely on the lighting manufacturers to self-certify the system that they use. And most lighting manufacturers won't certify products with other manufacturers' products in them. And so while technically you can do it, there's a few hoops you have to jump through to make sure your system is compliant. But generally speaking, there's no reason you can't. And it was actually addressed in the latest NFPA 1900 standard in the annex, where it talks about light fixtures from multiple manufacturers are absolutely permitted. And it discusses it right in the body of the text so that helps to disambiguate some previous industry standard discussions. If you have questions about making an NFPA compliant lighting system or coming up with the argument needed to be able to justify the system you want to build, our team is super well versed in that standard and can talk specifically with your apparatus manufacturer to make sure they're comfortable interpreting the data, providing backup data, and ensuring your truck is compliant. About 3 years ago, when we were getting serious about getting into the warning light game, we were doing a lot of research around what the next future of lighting needed to look like and kind of what steps we could take to differentiate ourselves in business in this space to actually help first responders do things more efficiently as we looked forward into the future. And as we looked at it, we kind of looked at Tesla being the disruptor that changed the automotive industry. And I wanted to evaluate what did they do that was so different and so magical that changed the way every auto manufacturer looks at vehicles. And it really isn't the electrification. It was all about the software and the infinitely updatable hardware that they brought to market. So a couple years ago, my wife and I sold our personal vehicles and we bought a Tesla Model X and we bought a 1949 Ford F1. And we alternated driving these things to and from the house every day for a full year. The purpose of this process was to fully understand what the differences were in legacy automotive and modern, super future-looking automotive. And it was really interesting. I got to tell you a story. I took the Tesla, after we got it, we started driving it, we were kind of getting this experience. And Thanksgiving was coming up. And my family, we live in Western North Carolina. My family is in Virginia. And we were going to go meet in Virginia Beach for Thanksgiving. So we hopped in the car, got a full charge, whatever. We ripped down the road. And I drive the car. We're talking no problems. Nothing super fancy, nothing super innovative. It was a regular car. We stopped and supercharged and then got to the place and it was no problems. Had our Thanksgiving. I got a notification on my phone, hey, there's a software update available for your car. So when we got there, I plugged it in at the house and I downloaded the update, whatever. I went inside and went about our day. A couple days later, when it was time to go home, we hopped in the car and on the screen said, welcome to Autopilot Beta. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So of course I enabled all the functions, unplugged the car, packed the stuff. And on the way home, I double clicked the steering wheel and enabled this feature. And the car literally drove me all the way back across the state, back to my house in Western North Carolina. And as I was driving home, it clicked. The big difference in legacy tech was if I wanted to make that Ford go faster or have a new feature, I had to have a mechanic come out and install a new engine or a widget on the vehicle to physically change the hardware to make it do something unique. And what Tesla brought to market was a unique way of looking at the automotive space and saying, I want to have a computer on wheels that has an internet connection and can have every sensor known to man. When I bought the car, I went ahead and had them install, like the supercomputer or whatever on it. And so it was a self-driving mode, but of course it wasn't available yet. Then over the air, they pushed a software update that enabled the hardware to grab a whole set of new features. And while I drove the car to Thanksgiving, it drove me home and no mechanic was involved. And so as I looked at the lighting space, it clicked in that moment that the future of lighting really needed to be having all the I/O capacity on the fixtures so that we could then send software updates and enable features, kind of like I did when I bought this car that I knew it one day could self-drive, but it wasn't fully finished, that we could then update our lighting fixtures over and over and over again as NFPA standards change, or as new features and functions in digital alerting change, or as new colors and flash patterns and research comes out. We want to be able to send that data to the fixture, update the fixture, and have infinitely updatable software on hardware that had all the functionality. So when we built the Omen, this is the Omen module. We decided to take a module and bake in Bluetooth, CAN, LIN, a variety of different protocols on the boards. We've got the ability to have all 5 colors, red, green, blue, amber, and white. And we packed everything inside of a modular housing that allows us to send software to these things over and over and over again. We created a bootloader that lets us update the firmware. And ultimately what that lets us do is have customers capitalize on the ability to put hardware in specs today that we don't necessarily know what the total limits of capacity are in the future. And when the fire truck market has backlogs, which are up to 54 months right now, if you've got a truck that's not going to show up for that long, you want to have hardware that's future-proof. And while I'm sure there will be advancements in microcontroller technology and optical technology and that sort of thing, the software we're developing allows customers to write a spec, order product, receive the product, have a minimum viable functioning product that helps them get the job done safely and effectively after dark. And as new studies and research and developments come out on our end, we're able to update that and always give the customers the cutting edge, regardless of what they purchased whenever the vehicle was built. So I can't say that the FireTech brand is really doing exactly what Tesla does. We don't make cars, but we're pretty close in alignment with the types of things that forward-looking technology companies that are revolutionizing their respective markets are doing. And when we look at lighting, there's been a lot of the same for a long time. I mean, even if you just look at the shape of the light bar, they've always had plastic covers that always leak, and people just accept that. And when we reinvented the look and feel of the warning light bar with the Omen, we did it both mechanically and with the software, and it's a pretty cool experience to be on. If you want more information about the Omen, or you want to learn about our business journey, a couple things you can do. One, check out highvisibilities.com. That's got all the information about our business and the products that we manufacture, or check out the 2448 podcast, and I tell a lot of the story about the FireTech Omen development, about our business background, the way we think about tech, and if you want to be a part of the team, we might be looking for you.